Hi, House of the Dragon fans. How's it going? Welcome to another review of House of the Dragon. This is the 9th episode, one episode before the finale takes place. The ramifications and fallout of King Viserys' passing is made apparent from the get-go. King's Landing, and more importantly, the Red Keep, is desolate, it's dark, it's lonely, and it's menacing. Melancholy music plays throughout, and we realize that this loss is gonna have major consequences. As soon as some of the main people are made aware of King Viserys' passing, their mind starts ticking, the wheels start turning, and we see some of the back and forth and chess moves that are made in the king's family and amongst the king's once loyal supporters. Because forget loyalty, it's now about the throne. Who is going to sit on the throne? How is it going to benefit themselves? And how do they keep their enemies at bay? This episode focused totally on Team Green. That is the Hightowers and their supporters. What did they do once they know that King Viserys is no longer present? And what do they do to ensure that their heir gets the throne? Does Prince Aegon have what it takes to sit on the throne? His behavior in the previous episodes lead us to believe that he doesn't. In fact, his brother Prince Aemon doesn't believe he does either. So, does Prince Aemon take his brother's spot as the heir? Does Queen Alicent finally figure out how to weigh her ambitions with the good of the greater realm? And does Otto Hightower finally see his dream come true and see his grandchild on the throne? So I'm not sure if this episode was anywhere near as epic as the last episode was. I don't think anything can touch that in terms of sheer quality of acting and just how the screenplay took place with King Viserys' passing. But the episode did a really good job of showing just how the Game of the Thrones works. And I'm saying Game of Thrones because it literally is a game, and the throne is what everyone is after. And now that Viserys is out of the picture, these people need to figure out what place do they have in this new world and which cards they're going to play.
A lot of people think this was the weakest episode. I didn't think so. I think this episode is going to give us what is to come in the next episode and in the next season. So I am excited about that.
You know, for a second, I thought because of this series likes to jump so much that when that child, this blonde-haired child we saw running from the kitchens through the palace halls, I thought, oh my god, did they just fast forward again? Is this Daemon and Rhaenyra's son grown up, by a few years? And thankfully, we realized that it's not, because I would have been so peeved if they had jumped another few years, and they didn't show us the ramifications of his passing, because we know that after every king or queen's passing, there are going to be ripple effects. And over here, we see that Alicent, who believes that Viserys' last words were basically saying that he wants Aegon on the throne, she believes totally in those words and thinks that, okay, things need to be done to make his final wishes come true. Now, obviously, he was in a delirious state. He didn't mean that. But for her, that's the truth that she saw in his words. And I like how when Otto Hightower finds out, we see the contrast between father and daughter. We see just how menacing or bloodthirsty Otto Hightower is, and how Alicent wants to have some kind of balance. Yes, she wants her son on the throne, but not at the cost of Rhaenyra's life. She doesn't want Rhaenyra's life taken, but is she really still that naive? Does she really think that she can get what she wants, her son can sit on the throne without impacting Rhaenyra's life and her kids' lives? I don't know. A part of me thinks that she shouldn't be this naive because she has been queen for a lot of years now. She knows how this game is played. But I still want to hold on to that and think that no, it's because this girl's heart isn't as tainted as people want her heart to be.
I get that. I felt the same thing too, that we have skipped another few years. But then I thought King Viserys is dead. We know that for a fact. So who are these kids running around? Then we find out that these are actually Aemon's bastards. They're running around all over King's Landing.
Obviously, each kingdom has its group of spies, and over here we have little kids running around, and you see them all over the place. We already knew how Prince Aegon and Prince Aemond are very different. We already knew one takes the role of being a prince really seriously, but the person who takes it seriously is the second son. He's not the heir. And the person who is heir never wanted to be heir, didn't ask to be in this position. I mean, no one asks to be heir. But he knows for so many years that this is what's going to be expected of him. This is what my family wants. So why is he never able to become responsible, become that individual that people can actually
Yeah.
want as an heir, as the next king? And
Well,
also, it's not Aemon's bastards running around, it's Aegon's bastards running around.
to be honest, we don't know. I mean, we will find out. We find out later in the episode. But at that point, I was like, I don't know. I mean, they're
No, at
not.
that point, you and me were so scared that this was another time jump. But I'm really glad that they didn't show that jump. I'm really glad that they showed how Alicent is genuinely upset at the passing of her husband, of the passing of her king. You see those tears. You see that shock. Like, she knew it was coming. Everyone knows it's coming. But when it happens, it's a totally different thing
And
because
to be
then
honest,
reality sits in.
I don't know if she loved him or not. You know, we talk about this whole character development. They've fast forwarded this whole thing. So
Exactly.
we have no idea. But she spent what 16, 17, 18, whatever years with him. So obviously, maybe it's not love, but yes, she had some connection. Yeah.
Obviously, if the series hadn't jumped so much, maybe we could have seen the development of the relationship between
Yeah.
Viserys and Alicent. But this show didn't seem that that was that interesting or that important for us because we are left wondering, hey, was there seriously love there or not? Just because we don't get that time with them. We see them, their interactions, before they get married. But what happens afterwards? What happened in the duration of the marriage? We don't know.
Then let's make it clear, right? This was a business deal, and we know that Viserys didn't love her. We saw that, we heard that, and we felt that at the last, through his last breath when he was dying, right? He's saying, "My love." He's thinking about his, dead wife, and he's still wearing the ring.
And that's really unfortunate, not for Allison, for any woman that's in that position, that you spend years of your life with someone and you still can't, fill in the
Yeah.
void, essentially. That void that was created by him. He made his previous wife a birthing cow and then he lost her because of that. So he could never get over that. I think that guilt stayed with him for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
But I also feel sorry for her and for all women, because we see in this episode that it doesn't matter what the woman's position is. Here is a queen. She is the queen of the Seven Kingdoms, right? But she has no power of her own. And this shows just how important the male figures are in this world, because this woman is reliant upon others. And one of the most jarring scenes was between her and Larys Strong. Larys Strong is that slithering snake who goes from one side to the next side. He is always looking for his benefit. He even goes to Otto Hightower and says, hey, look, I have been working alongside your daughter for all these years, but that doesn't mean that time that I spent with her can't benefit you. So
Yep.
until the end, he's thinking of ways to do what he wants to do to achieve what he sets out to achieve. And then you see how he does it. They pan to his, club foot. You see it dragging, and then you see her. She's taking off her shoes and the stockings are coming down. I'm like, what the hell is she doing? She looks really comfortable. And then you realize that for this perceived help that she has been getting, it comes at a cost, and that cost is her dignity, because even though she is queen, she can't do anything on her own. So he has like some kind of foot fetish, because obviously his foot is not, perfect. So he's looking at her perfect feet and he's going off, right? He's jerking off, and you see that expression on her face. She knows it has to be done, so she turns her face and lets him see her feet. I felt really bad for her. Like, I know people are be like, oh, you are Alicent lover, that's why you felt bad for her. But forget that she's Alicent. The fact that this is a female character in this world who doesn't have the power to get things done without a cost. And that cost is at the mercy of whatever the guy wants. And this guy wasn't even the heir of, Harrenhal.
No,
But
no.
she has to give him this much importance.
So I completely get it. that Allison felt that she had to do what she had to do to kind of move things along. We know the history of Westeros. We know what happened. And yes, as a woman, it's very tough for you. But you have the ability to change that. You are the effing queen now, man. You can say, you know what? No, you do this or you die. Simple as that.
I don't think she
She
has that.
does. We saw there at the council when they were all sitting down, and Sir Kristen Cole is, again, killing somebody random because he, really has his kind of alliance
Wait,
towards
that's
Allison.
not random. That's for a purpose.
So this is for a purpose too. She
Yes.
could have done that.
In order to get what she wants done, she's putting along with this disgusting stuff that's going on. And that's the thing. If someone like Rhaenys, who is from the Targaryen family, couldn't stand up to the other men around her and say, like, hey, forget Viserys. I have the temperament to be queen, because that is mentioned episode after episode. It was mentioned in this episode as well by Allison. Now, obviously, she's playing her cards as she wants Rhaenys on her side. But she made a good point that you had the temperament to be queen. You weren't allowed to be. So if a girl like Rhaenys, who is strong, who is fierce, who's a total badass, had to succumb to the men around her, it's like, what is Allison gonna do? And with Allison, I feel like she is that mother who wants to make sure that her son gets what he thinks he deserves.
That's it. Because Rhaenys actually said the exact thing. Have you imagined yourself on the Iron Throne?
Exactly.
That's the big difference, because Allison's mindset is not that strong.
Yep.
He is just thinking about her. And I'm not saying she's wrong. She's thinking about her kids, but she's not thinking about that I am the queen. Right? Yeah. She doesn't have that in her.
But it's really easy for Rhaenys to say that, because why didn't Rhaenys stand up and fight the council that put Viserys on the throne? Rhaenys could have done that. It's very easy for her to say, oh yeah, Allison, why don't you think you should be on the throne? In which world is the Red Keep going to go to a high tower? Right. When you have so many Targaryens around you, it was nonsensical, but it was just to throw out there once again that even though she is queen, she cannot take things into her hands. She cannot assume power. And she is playing for her son. So in that respect, yeah, she isn't the strongest female out there because she's not thinking for herself. She's thinking for her son. But does that make her a good mom or not? I don't know.
She is not playing for herself. She's playing for sons. I get it. But at the same time, you are the queen. Okay? The king has died. Everybody's looking at you, basically. Right, you're at the head of the chair of the council. You have to be strong.
But
you have to tell.
Queen consort. She's not queen. She's queen consort. Just how Daemon will be king consort and not king. There's a big difference there.
There is a big difference, but it's technically she is acting in the role right now till it's filled. And I didn't see anything from her to basically say, okay, you know what? You guys all just shut the hell up. This is what's going to happen. I'm not going to show you my feet to that dude. Right, and you are going to do this, or Sir Kristen Cole is just standing outside.
Foot fetishes are a thing. I know people are really into feet, but damn, I was grossed out at that point. I was like, shit.
He has a foot fetish, and his one foot is like, bro.
That's the whole point, because his foot is like mangled or not perfect looking, so he's looking at feet and going off of it. And hello, this is the queen's feet, not just any random person.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah. And also, in terms of taking things under control, you do see a little bit of it. You do see her go against her own father, because Otto Hightower is looking for Aegon. Everyone is looking for Aegon. Like, where the hell is he? He has disappeared. We need to get him here. We need to make him the heir, before, everyone finds out about this news, because Rhaenys is being locked into the room. Everything's hush-hush. Everything is moving. You see Allison tell her father that Rhaenyra is not to be harmed. And so she starts working with Kristen Cole that, hello, we need to find Aegon and you need to bring him to me. In no way should he be given to my father, because she doesn't know what the hell Otto Hightower is going to do. And then you see Aemond. Aemond is the one who goes with Sir Kristen Cole and figures out, where to go, what to do. And you see throughout that interaction that how irresponsible and basically a party guy, a drunkard, Aegon is, versus Aemond, who's cool, calm, and collected. Maybe a little too calm and too cool and too collected, because This guy is Damon personified for me. I
Yeah.
feel like he really takes after his uncle, not just the looks, not just the demeanor, just the way he is as a person. Because if you think about it, he and Damon are the second sons. He and Damon are relegated to the background, whereas their brothers are the ones meant for the throne. And here, Aemond even says that if you wanted to get lost, to Aegon, why didn't you get lost? You could have gone, you should have gone.
Aegon doesn't want it, right? He doesn't want to throw it. He doesn't want to do anything with that. He wants party. But to your point about Damon persona, I agree. But I see both sides of things. I see in Aegon the earlier Damon that we saw in the earlier episode, drinking, partying it up, right?
Drinking, whoring,
Yeah,
partying.
that's Aegon right now, right? But then I see that in Aemon, the mature version of Daemon, right? So
Yeah.
at some point, do you think that Aegon is going to become the mature, kind of like cross over the line to become the mature
Well, is
Daemon?
Aegon going to be given that much time to become that mature, king or individual? Because even though he is a partier, he doesn't want responsibility. We find out that he himself has paid someone to keep him hidden, right? Think
And all
here,
his bastard kids. They're all
yeah,
fighting together. They're all these blonde kids running around. Like, oh my God, like what?
yeah. How many does he have? How many has he fathered?
He has a fight
And
club going on with his own kids, I guess. I
yeah,
mean,
Flea Bottom is supposed to be this depraved place where anything and everything goes, basically the worst of society. And here we see like this pit, right? There's like a ring and kids are just going at it against each other, fighting to their death, basically. And grown-ups are sitting around watching that. And I like how the two individuals that Otto Hightower had sent, the brothers, to go find Aegon,
yeah.
one of them was basically like, this is the guy that we're trying to find. This is the guy who's going to sit on the throne. But the other brother is just going along with it because these are the orders. This is what's supposed to be, happening. And on the flip side, you see Aemond. He's like, Aegon is not meant for this. And he's thinking what he can do if he had it. You mentioned that Aegon is like Daemon, that he's a partier. This is from Daemon's earlier days. I feel like when you are a second son, it gives you more leeway because the weight of the shoulders or the realm is not on you. Here, Aemon grew up thinking and knowing that Rhaenyra is the heiress. She is going to be the one to
Good
take the
point.
throne. So he doesn't need to necessarily be as responsible as she is or other, heirs should be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you have your mother from your childhood telling you that a day will come where you guys are going to have to fight for your right, you would think that you would prepare yourself.
It's
Because
actually
while
that's
he
good.
hasn't prepared himself, Aemond has. And I
He
like how
rebelled.
Aemond was basically telling Aegon, like, you're not worth it at all. But because you're my brother, because my mother wants you there, we are taking you to her. Because you can tell that he wants it for himself, not because he might be selfish, not because he wants his brother dead, but because he knows that he can do a better job.
Yeah.
Simple.
Aemon had to earn everything from
Yes.
the respect to the dragon, and now he has the
Yes.
largest dragon, the beast, right? So yeah, so you have to have the certain level of maturity, and you have to have certain level of that grit and that hustle in you to be able to get that
Exactly.
far. And
Yeah.
just Aegon just doesn't have it.
Yeah, and it was just a contrast between, once again, the two brothers and a contrast between how maybe an heir should be and shouldn't be. You also draw a line between Viserys and Daemon in the same way because Daemon
Yes.
was the irresponsible hack, right? While his brother was the one on the throne, he was known as the peaceful Viserys, right? Viserys the peaceful, because he didn't unnecessarily want to have fights, go into war. He wanted to
Yep.
keep the realm safe. So yeah, you see this contrast between the Targaryen siblings.
This is the weird thing though, because Daemon was the heir.
He
Yeah, he
went
was young.
from being an heir to a yes man. Like, what the hell is Daemon doing? I
But I'm
still
telling
can't
you
get
though,
over the fact
he is
that
still
Daemon has turned into this because Daemon was my favorite heading into this whole thing. I wanted it all for Daemon, and now all my loyalties behind Aemond because I find him to be a badass. If Daemon can become a badass again, I will be on Daemon's side because I love badasses, right? I want
yeah.
people to stand up for themselves, and they did, and they do. Getting back to Alicent really quick, one other thing we see is You know, when I was saying that just because she's queen doesn't mean she has the power, because she has to deal with the men around her. And
Yeah.
you see that a lot of planning and plotting has been going on behind her back. And she even makes it a point to mention that to the Privy Council that is there, that you guys were planning this the whole time. You already had plans set in motion that when he dies, this is what needs to happen. So obviously she was left in the blue. She has no idea that this is going on. And once again, that reinforces the fact that it doesn't matter what the position a woman is in this world, she is always going to be snubbed in some way. If this is Hightower's daughter, which she is, why didn't Otto Hightower include her in all of this? Obviously, because he didn't believe she has what it takes to be this ruthless.
Well, I think that's it. Otto, we know, like you talked about, he wants Rhaenyra dead, Daemon dead,
Mm-hmm.
period.
Yep.
And actually, I get that. That's a smart strategy because he's like, look, if we have the dragons right now, let's go and kill those guys because
Yep.
otherwise, man, we are going to be toast. They are
Yeah.
going to have their allies. They are going to form a thing, and we're going to be in trouble. So let's
Yep.
do that. He knows that Allison does not have it in her to make those decisions, putting aside emotions, right? That yes, Rhaenyra is her best friend from childhood and stuff like that. I bet you Rhaenyra is not going to think twice, right? When
No.
it comes to that, she's going to be
No.
like, yeah, you are barbecue, done.
Yeah,
Right?
and that's the
And
difference right there. I don't know if it's for or against either of them. That's just their personalities.
it
For
is.
Allison, there's just this line there, and in her mind, she doesn't want to cross it when it comes to taking Rhaenyra's life, and I understand that. She knows that Viserys loved his daughter. He was loyal to his daughter. So why would she allow or, signal the killing to happen? She
Yeah.
doesn't want that on her shoulders. She just wants her son to take the throne, because not only is this what she has wanted because it's been fed into her, but also because her husband told her on his deathbed that this is what he wanted. She says that again and again. These were the last words he uttered. Because if you look at it from her perspective, that is what he said, right? So it's not like she's lying. The difference here is obviously he was so confused in his own head. So think about it. If he wasn't
Well,
so delirious, none of this would have taken place.
I get it, but also I think she was focused on her own self at that time. She heard what she wanted to hear, right? He
Oh,
said
that's human
Aegon.
nature.
Well, I mean, yeah, but he said Aegon, but then he said Aegon and the dream, right? So she should have said, "Oh, wait a minute, my Aegon didn't have a dream that he should, where is it? Something doesn't seem right. Like, oh, maybe
No,
he's
but
not
he
talking
wasn't
about."
talking in coherent sentences. He was just saying things from here and there. When you hear Aegon, and then he also said the prince that was promised. Rhaenyra is not a prince; she was a princess. So this is why she put two and two together.
I
Prince that
get
was
it.
promised, Aegon.
Please, Targaryens. Obviously, it's too late now. Don't name your kids like the same names, man. I mean,
Oh,
there's
it's
like
so
five
confusing.
Aegons, five Viserys, or whatever it is. But this is what happens. You can't do that. Use
Yeah.
different names. John,
Exactly.
Bob.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
Helena, poor Helena, who is this ignored wife, sister of Aegon, she says this line to, I think it was maybe her kids or whoever was there around her. She says, it's a human nature to crave for things that they don't possess. When you don't have heirdom, you want that heirdom. When you have that heirdom, you want that freedom that others have, right? We already know that people always think the grass is greener on the other side. They forget that the grass is greener where you water it. That's just how human nature is. You want what you don't have, and when you have it, did you really want it? Like, can you afford to have it? Can you go through all of the ups and downs to get to that point? So that's what this game is all about, right? What will you do to instill yourself or your family or your friend, whoever you are loyal to, onto the throne? Here we see Otto Hightower trying to take things into his own hands. You see Allison trying to take things in her own hands. And then you see by the end of the episode when Aegon is finally with his mother, and that conversation that they have, riding to the sept where the ceremony is going to take place to make him king. You see that exchange that happens, and you see some of the change in Aegon's demeanor and his outlook, because even though he says that my father didn't want this, if he wanted this, he would have said this to me while he was alive.
Smart
So
boy.
yes, even though he said that, by the end of the ceremony, you could see the pride that maybe he got in himself. He saw the people cheering for him. He had that sword in his hand.
Yes, he felt from the crowd what he did not get from his own family. He hasn't done anything good. He's
Yeah.
always getting yelled at by one person or the other, whether it's Otto Hightower beating him up because he's too drunk, or right now he's seeing here are thousands of people cheering for him, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, this is what I want, right? So
Yeah.
you saw his facial expression change at the moment to basically accept that. He's like,
Yeah.
yes, this is what I need.
Yeah, that was a switch. You could see that light change in his
Yeah.
eyes. You could see that a switch turn on, and that was nice to see. You could literally see it in his face. You could see it in his demeanor. And the cool thing about it was when he was getting anointed, with the oil and the crown, there's that shot where you see Aemon, and Aemon is looking down at him. And he's probably thinking, man, damn it, that could have been me. That should have been me. But it's happening to you.
That whole scene was so amazing. First of all, right, so many people are coming in, and all right, let's also talk about Rhaenys is also in the mix of things because she's trying to get away. She's sneaking away, trying to find her dragon so she can fly back home, right? Because she got snuck out. So now she is also kind of in the, because she's getting pushed and shoved, and she is watching all of this as well.
Yeah,
And
all
then
of this crowd is like, they're undulating towards someplace, and she's like, what the hell is going on? She gets separated from the guy who's trying to take her out of the keep, and she ends up at the sept, and she sees this entire ceremony take place. But now here is where I have a problem. We know from the Game of Thrones that this is not the first time a ceremony has been rudely interrupted. This is not the first time a sept has been destroyed in this manner, right? But what I didn't understand was, how did Rhaenys make it out of the sept, get on a damn dragon, get that dragon inside in the matter of minutes? That didn't make sense to me. Where did that dragon come from? That dragon wasn't there. How did she get on that dragon and fly towards the sept the way that she did? And then once she got there, why in the hell didn't she light the damn place up? She could have lit that place up and taken it for herself.
Well,
come on, Rhaenys. I would have loved that. Like, you guys didn't give me the throne then. Viserys took it. Now Viserys is gone, and my ass is going to sit on that throne. I would have loved it.
Yes. It felt to us that, a couple of minutes, we see her sneaking away. And I remember I was telling you, oh, good, she's running off.
Yeah,
she's like,
I mean, I told you as soon as that was taking place and she looked up, I was like, Tino, a dragon is coming. And I thought Daemon was going to come, or Rhaenyra was going to come flying in that dragon. I didn't know that Rhaenys was going to sneak out, find a dragon, and then crash the party.
Well, so we saw that she snuck out, but the thing is, there were a lot of cuts between that and when she showed up on the dragon. So we actually don't know how much time was actually passed, right? Because a lot of other ceremonial things were going on at the same time. So I would give the directors and editors
I'm giving them no
benefit of the doubt that there was some time.
No, the dragon was basically parked outside of the sept, waiting for Rhaenys to get on it and come through.
Maybe it's like one of those Teslas, right? You just press the button and say, hey, someone Tesla,
like, come here.
The dragon. And the dragon just shows up, right?
That's what it felt like. And why didn't she take, you literally made that point, that Rhaenys was pointing fingers at Alicent, that why are you not taking that throne for yourself? Why in the hell did Rhaenys not take it for herself? After all these years, that would have been amazing. That I waited all this time, but damn, I'm getting my right. I am taking my throne. Let's see how you stop me. I'm on the dragon. Your asses are just sitting there. She could have lit them ablaze, but she didn't. And then you see this fierce Alicent, who knows that all of their lives are in jeopardy. Her son's life is in jeopardy. And like a fierce mother tiger, she comes out in front of Aegon and she's like, I will die first, then my son. So I know other people are going to be like, oh, that just shows how weak Aegon is. We know he's weak. That's the whole point.
He is weak, 100%. I mean, but I would say that, actually, you know what? Katie, show the book. How big is that book? It's right behind you, right? The Fire and Blood. Let's see that. Let's see how thick that is.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a pretty thick book, right? So now if you take that book and you basically chop it in probably, the thirds, that's what the book would be if Rhaenys basically just ended the whole story right there. because they
No, but
would
it
not
could have
be able.
changed it. It could have changed the trajectory. I mean, I know George R.R. Martin has now said the House of the Dragon story should be told in 4 seasons with 10 episodes each. That's how long it's going to take to tell the full story.
Yeah.
If that's the case, why in the hell have we been jumping around so much? That means even with all this jumping, it's still going to take another 3 seasons of 10 episodes each. Why could there
There
not be
is.
more storytelling? Why couldn't there be more character building? Because right now, even if she had put to fire that whole sept and everyone, I wouldn't have felt bad at all. Like, I don't care. There's
I see
no
that because I thought that
connection.
I thought for a second, oh, she's going to do that. Then I thought, okay, you know what? Now it's going to come down between Rhaenyra and Daemon, and they will separate, and this is going to
Yes.
become the thing.
I
I mean, I
am
get that.
waiting for it
I
to
get that.
become Damon versus Rhaenyra. I don't know if this is ever
I
going
don't
to
think that's
happen
going to
because
happen.
I haven't read the book. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen because he has become a yes man to her because
But
one
also
way or the other.
they're married now, right? He
Yeah.
is. Yeah. I mean, so
But
it's a
that
different.
hasn't stopped Damon before from being selfish and wanting what he wants, right? He
Well,
just
yeah.
basically wanted to be on the throne, however it was, and now instead of being king, he will be king consort, and I guess he's just fine with that because obviously this is where the story is headed. By the end of this episode, we know that Aegon has taken the throne. He is reveling in this, but it seems like a gift right now because Rhaenys could have easily killed him and everyone in that building altogether, but she didn't. Basically, she has drawn party lines. She is going to be on Rhaenyra's side, even though Rhaenyra fucked up her son and this family has really messed up her own family. So the message here is that I am not on your side. I could have easily killed you, but I didn't. I still don't know why she didn't easily kill them because she could have lit them all on fire, burned them to a crisp, gone and told Rhaenyra that this is what happened. Come, Rhaenyra, sit on the throne. She
Oh
didn't do
man,
any of
I
that.
was.
She could have been queenmaker. She could have
Yes.
been
Oh my
queenmaker.
God.
Why didn't she become queenmaker if she doesn't want to be queen herself?
I think Allison was the reason, the only reason she didn't do that. Because Allison did tell her before that, hey, look, what happened to your kids, your whole family, everybody's dead, basically saying that, hey, you weren't a good mom and I'm a great mom. Look, I'm trying to protect my kid. And she was in front of Aegon trying to protect him.
She saw herself in Allison.
Yes, yes.
Rhaenys could not save her kids. She has neither her son nor her daughter. Here she saw Allison as a mother fighting for the life of her son.
Yeah.
So she was like, I have lost my kids. I am not going to be the reason why she loses her kids because in her eyes, obviously, and probably most people's eyes, losing a child is probably the worst thing that can ever happen to you.
And let me tell you one thing. That's why she's also not on the throne. That's why. Because she
That's
doesn't have it.
why.
If Danny was there right now or Rhaenyra, bam. Darkaris, done. Everybody's like
Yeah,
barbecue.
but thank God we know what happens with Danny, and she never got to do that. Thank you. But
He did sat on the Iron Throne for a
I
little bit.
like how you are changing your own tunes because like 10 minutes ago, you were saying that Allison is weak and Rhaenys is saying that she should have taken the throne. And now you're saying yourself, this is why Rhaenys can't because she's weak. So
That is
that's
true
the whole
because
point. It's really
bottom line
easy
is
to point fingers and it's really easy to say, why didn't that person do that? Why didn't that person do that? That person who should have been on the damn throne from the get-go didn't do it then and didn't do it now. So if she couldn't do it in all of these years, how is Allison going to do it? She's a Targaryen. Allison is not, and she still couldn't do it.
That is true, and that's why it does. I mean, look, you're trying to change the whole history, the culture by being the queen sitting on the throne. You can't be emotional and think like that. You have to be different. That's why from day one, I was like, Rhaenyra has it in her.
Because she's an unemotional bitch.
No, it's not about that. She was fine.
You just said that. You literally just said that if you have emotions, you cannot sit on the throne. So that means if Rhaenyra can sit on the throne, she doesn't have emotions.
You have to have your emotions in control. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's really easy to point fingers at Allison. Why didn't she take the throne? Why doesn't she do it? She is not a Targaryen. She cannot take that throne. The people that are Targaryens, like Rhaenys, she can't even take the throne because she doesn't have the guts to do it. I wish she did because people are saying, oh, Rhaenys is a badass. Rhaenys is a badass. What badass? She literally had this throne like on a platter. She literally could have went down, grabbed that crown and put it on her head because she had all the power at that point. She was on that damn dragon. No one else was. Aemon
You know
couldn't
what?
run and go get on his dragon and have a dragon fight. That's
No.
not happening. But maybe this also sets her apart from the psycho Targaryens, that she is not going to
does.
go and kill
It does.
everybody there. So
Well-
thank you. Maybe that's what's happening here, because we know that this is a line that is not afraid of killing, right? They are not afraid at all. So I think maybe this is what sets her apart from her family. She's like, you guys do the bloodshed. I am not a part of that. Who knows?
And at the end of the day, she made a statement, very powerful one. I could have done that, but I didn't.
I
right?
didn't.
That's a
So
pretty
you
big
better be
statement.
thankful to me.
That's right. That's
Now, what happens as a result of this, I can't tell you, but I'm not the one who killed you. Remember that.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, guys, so this was basically an episode of the Hightowers. The episode laid out basically what the Hightowers wanted, and obviously what they wanted was to put Aegon on the throne, and that they did, but at the mercy of Rhaenys. At the mercy of Rhaenys. Obviously, in the season finale, we're going to see the other side of the coin. We're going to see what Rhaenyra and Daemon do when they hear the news of Viserys' passing and when they realize that Aegon has assumed the throne. Obviously, that is going to be the season finale. How the finale takes place, what happens in there, we will be here to cover it. So please join us next time as well, and let us know in the comment section down below, where do you think all of this is heading? And also follow us on social media. I am Furry602 and Tino is H to the Bizza. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.